Okay, so today we'll be talking about schedule management. So to me, schedule management is nothing but focus management, meaning at this point in time or in each um, section of the project's progress, what should the team be focusing on? What should you be focusing on? So when you're planning out your schedule, this is essentially what you are doing. You want to um, prepare your future selves focus on specific time frames. So the tools that we'll be using for this are the milestone chart, the calendar, and the Gantt chart. So and then we'll talk about estimation techniques, and then also choosing a project task management tool. All right. So the tools that we could use, or I normally use for schedule management, are just the two actually: the milestone chart and the calendar. Because most of my projects are not really dependency heavy. So an example of a dependency heavy project is construction, for instance, because there has to be you have to complete the the I don't know the masonry before you do the painting, something. So so many things which depend on previous tasks. So events, for instance, or even like what you call this, right, pieces of writing, of pieces of software. You have big, you know, big chunks of things you need to do before the next phase, for instance. So what I normally use are the milestone chart and the calendar. So the milestone chart is mostly for pitching or for giving an overview. So I normally place it and normally create it during the creation of the project charter. So we've seen this. So it's just a table, or it's just a table with two columns. One column is the milestones you selected. So milestones are part of your project, which sort of gives you an idea of your progress. You know, you completed this particular task, or you completed this particular um, part of the project, this particular phase, or you started something. So it's like a gate. You enter a gate, and then the estimated dates of these milestones. The calendar, so we're familiar with the usual calendar, which is like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So this one is, it really depends on the cadence of your project. So I think I'll move this part here. This is, it should be under the calendar. So um, what is the focus cadence of this project? So for instance, most of my projects is like the cadence is weekly, because that's like our we have a weekly meeting with the team. So in that meeting, my objective is to set the focus for the week. And my guide for setting that is this calendar I did. So in Rome, so we'll demonstrate this later. So what I normally do is just to create weeks, or to set the day of that week when I do my planning as the name of that week. So I'll show it later in Rome. So yeah, that's basically it. So you could just schedule this in advance depending on the um, the cadence of your project, and this cadence could differ throughout the project. So like you could be monthly at the beginning of the project, and then as the project progresses, uh, reaches the point where like everything converges near your due date. So it might be weekly, and the days before the project, maybe at an event, it could be um, daily, and then the day itself, you could have like a morning, or you know review, after review. So the cadence of the team meeting dictates the focus, because that's when um, you set the focus for the time, time frame. The Gantt chart, well, it's a way of visualizing the progress, or the how long each task takes or how long each part of the project takes. And you see the dependencies as well. I normally just use this when there's a lot of dependencies. And I don't recommend Roam for this. There are tools which are designed for this, like so many project management tools are. These are actually most project management tools are actually really team task management tools. So where you could collaborate on who owns what is when this task is supposed to be done, and what tasks are dependent on other tasks. So those are project task management tools or teamwork tools. You have examples here, and we'll talk later on how to choose this task management tool. So part of task schedule management is estimating how long a task takes. So um, what I what I normally use is asking other project managers who have done this before, and I also don't obsess about this. If our table of relative constraints, if we choose that this project is the most important thing isn't schedule, no? So if the most important thing is schedule, estimating becomes a lot more important because you need to know when things are most likely done. No, so you have to keep the space correctly. So if we need if there's a hard deadline, so it's like this becomes quite important. So this is analogous to cost estimation because you have you look at other projects. You could also do bottom up estimating. In this case, you would want to use like a project management task management tool like any of these. So also if you do a lot of projects with the same type, you could estimate the time it takes for those projects based on like some sort of factor in the project. For instance, in construction, I imagine these experienced contractors could estimate the completion of a construction based on maybe floor area or type of building or something like that. So I guess, yeah. um, you also have this 3-point estimating, so which is the optimistic, pessimistic, and the most likely scenario, and then you get an average of the three. So for me, it's really just uh, asking people who have done this before. That's the fastest for me. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, so we use this at the beginning, or when we did our project charter, and I have an ongoing project right now, which I share in this graph, and we are behind schedule. Well, which is not really that important because our key thing in this project is the scope, So and then our my main constraint right now as a project manager is that I have other projects ongoing, so I have to balance. I have to you know balance the load. So it's impossible to do that if you can also constrain yourself in terms of schedule, especially if it's like just something you choose. There are some projects where you have no choice but to put a deadline. For instance, an event like a party or a conference or something like that, there's a deadline. But for others, um, you want to give as much leeway to yourself as possible. So now it's like, so if you're not going to use Roam, which is very likely if you have many teammates and they don't use Roam, so how do you choose a project task management tool? So my suggestion is you just look for the one which gives you these reports or views. For instance, so you want to prepare, for instance, for your team meeting. So you want to know what are the tasks in this time frame. For instance, this week, what should we be focusing on? So in Rome, you could. when you do your planning, so do that later. So you could start with this. So what are the tasks? So from your WBS, you block reference your tasks or your work packages under specific weeks, for instance. And also when you're doing one-on-ones with someone, so just to follow up on things or to give that person tasks for the week, so you want that view as well. And you want it to be per person per time frame. So you could use filters for this or queries in Rome. So, but this is built in many apps. So you just have to see. But for me, these are the most important views or reports for a to help your team focus on a specific on the task for the specific time frame. And for projects with a lot of task dependencies, so you want automated sequencing. So for instance, Monday.com or ClickUp, uh, Asana has this. Trello doesn't have this natively. Critical path. I think ClickUp. I used ClickUp recently, so it has critical path. So critical path is are the tasks that if delayed, they would delay the entire project. So yeah, if your project is the is least flexible in terms of schedule, that's something you want to know because you have some slack in other parts of the project perhaps, but in the critical path there is no slack there. So if one is delayed, delay the whole project. And then um, also a lot of these tools allow for task level discussion. So each task you could drill in, you could put documents. So a good practice is to do a training on the tool for your team when you launch a project. So you make sure that they know how to use it. It's also good to know how their communications habits. So we talked about that in the or that will be included in the communication plan when you create it. So you want to know what are the best channels for your team to get updates. Sometimes you even have to customize these channels. For some people, you have to talk to them over the phone. So depending really on the how critical that person is in the project, so you might have to customize it for them. So anyhow, yeah, and this is something you want to check the usage. You want to check the usage regularly and check with your people one on one whether they're using it, what's preventing them. So you want to fix that if needed. So that's basically the overview of schedule management. Any questions, Ashish, before we do the demo?
No, this is fine. In fact, some of the elements I have been using earlier to focus the discussions that we've been having within the team. One tool that I would like to add is this tool called Tascade. It's relatively less known, but seems to provide features beyond Asana. Tascade,
Cascade.
task, Taskade. Yeah. Seems to work well for me.
Cool. Cool. I'll check it out. All right. So let's look at the project this project called Resolve Crowdfunding. So just an update on this project. So we just did the initiation of the video. So if we just look at the WBS to recall, let me just place this in the sidebar. So our WBS here is mainly, our preparation, and then we have to do outreach. So in terms of time, the creation of the video and the landing page are earlier. The outreach could be later. So once we are done with these, we could do the outreach. So preparation is mostly done. So and then yeah, thanking and giving awards. It's basically the high level structure of the project. So if we're gonna do this in terms of time, so I could just move this just to here. So and I tag these as the ones which require the most work, or the one the most impact, the one that require time and has the most risk. Yeah. So now what I do for the schedule manage or creating a schedule is really just creating a weekly schedule. So instead of week one, week two, I would now create um, week. So this is week 26, April 26, and then so because I want this to appear on my Monday or my Monday daily page, because that's when I normally plan the week on Mondays. So it depends on your habits. Um, so anyhow, you could just create the other weeks. So and then here I will just pass on, for instance, the video. Um, so let me just place this week. So it's a week. So this week we're supposed to do this. Yeah. So it's just a big task there. That is landing page. So this is I'll just move these here. No, I'll just do the entire thing because like that's right there actually. So and you just do this for the 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 rest of the weeks. So by next week we should have the video. The week after that, actually I just moved this earlier. I think I'll do the landing page as well next week. And then the first week of May, I will have to do the outreach. For the outreach, yeah, this is yeah, I probably have to divide this across weeks. So this one I'll do on the 3rd of May, the list of stakeholders, and then yeah, talking to the each of the project members, something like that. And then yeah. So I think you get the idea now. So this is how we do this so that when I do my, like for instance, I arrive on the 3rd of May, so I will see there the some tasks I need to do. For instance, so I have two projects here. In my actual Rome graph, there will be much more of these, but I'll see what I'm supposed to do here. So for this project of delivering this PM training, so next week we'll do the team plan. So that's basically it. It's pretty straightforward in Rome. Any questions, Ashish?
I guess this is where the Rome shows its power. Because up till here you can do it in one of the other tools, but this the referencing is amazing.
Yep. Yeah. Just and yeah, it's you always could go back to the origin. Like these are block references. So like why did I think about this? Like you could
Yeah.
go back to, and then all the details are here. So that's the beauty of doing it in Rome.
Rome now determines. So, for example, I upgraded my Outlook, but then my linkage to Rome doesn't work. So I downgraded it back again. So Rome determines which apps I use, which apps.
Oh man.
I was ready to sell my desktop before Rome came
Oh yeah.
because I wasn't using it, and now it's the other way around.
Oh wow. So your desktop is like your main terminal
Yeah,
right now. Cool,
yeah.
cool. All right. Cool. So I'll stop recording now, Ashish. Okay.
Yes, please.
And we could discuss other things if you want.